This is SSN.
Story Studio Network.
Welcome to this special series of the Most Painful Podcast, recorded live from the 2025 Invictus Games in Vancouver, BC. I'm your host, Tom Hoppy. On this episode, we're going to talk to Bruce Thompson, who is working with an Edmonton group called Veterans Connect Canada, which helps veterans with mental health. I bumped into Bruce at the Games and realized that we had served together many years ago. So I'm looking forward to discussing this with Bruce. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Veterans Connect Canada was the brainchild of myself and a couple of my friends out in Peachland, BC. And I happened to be out there doing a curling event for Sportsnet at the time. And we had a chance to get together and have dinner. And I had just heard about the loss of another soldier. And I was really pissed off about it. And so my two best friends, partners, they work with the Mental Health Commission of Canada quite often. And a little closer. So they work with the Mental Health Commission of Canada, helping them to develop their courses. So that they've worked on Road to Mental Health Readiness, mental health first aid for veterans, first responders, First Nations, that kind of thing. And we got talking about what we could possibly do to help veterans. Being one myself, I served for 20 years, started in the reserves with the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, ended with the South Alberta Light Horse, and I'm still very much connected to the South Alberta Light Horse. My wife and I have worked with the association. We've helped to lead battlefield tours, and we talk with our veterans quite a bit about mental health. I can very easily get on a soapbox about it. I'm not the expert. I'm the face and the voice, and my partners, Gerard Chung and Shauna Hickerson, are the brains of the outfit. And we want to help veterans. We're developing a mental health resiliency course right now that we are aiming specifically at reservists, because the reservists, we feel, are underserved when it comes to mental health and resiliency and that sort of thing.
So why is that? Why is it, for our audience, understand that most militaries in the world will have some form of a reserve and a regular force, but why is a reserves in Canada, why do you feel that they're underserviced?
Reservists are the true citizen soldiers. They're somebody who works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday a lot of times, or they're young students. They're underserved, in my personal opinion, is because the reserve units do not have access to all of the facilities the Reg Force members do. If you're a Reg Force member, you're on a base. You've got the base clinic. You've got access to other things that reservists just don't have to do, especially if they're from smaller communities like Kamloops or something like this. And so, a lot of these guys and gals right now they're going on taskings with the Reg Force, and they finish their tasking overseas, and they're given 4 or 5 days when they get home, and then they're just sent home to their units, to their homes, to their families. And there hasn't been enough resiliency training for those soldiers. And so we're trying to remedy that.
And I guess one would argue there's probably that in the Reg Force too, the resiliency training is not... It's kind of not part of the game, is it?
It isn't. And I mean, from you remember from our day in the military, there was no such thing as resiliency training or mental health training. Nobody said the words mental health when we were soldiers back in the 70s and 80s. And it's come to the forefront, I think, most recently because of Afghanistan and all of the soldiers that took their lives when they came back from overseas, and also some of the guys that came back from Bosnia that were there when all the real trouble started for the NATO troops that were in there, UN troops that were in there. So I talk with a lot of the guys that were in my unit. I'm kind of the guy, if somebody's having a bad day, they always know they can call me. We can go have a coffee. We can talk about it. And I think that's one of the most important things about mental health is verbalizing the things that are happening to you, and trying to sort out why and work on preventing that from happening in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, we talk about resilience. Soldiers, I would suggest, are resilient to begin with, but we're talking at different types of resilient just because of the job they have to do. And also, talking with somebody that's important, the community side, but what you guys have gone a step further and actually created a proper structured program, correct?
Yep, that's exactly what we're trying to do. It's very important. Mental health has come to the forefront of society a lot in the last 10, 15 years. And the soldiers should be no exception. There's the mythos of being a soldier where nothing bothers you. You're rough, tough, ready to go. Anything you see has no effect. We know that's not true. We see it when our soldiers come back with how they react. Over medication, using alcohol and illicit drugs tends to really be a problem with people that have suffered from, or experienced, or I shouldn't say suffered, have experienced trauma. And we want to build a toolbox for them that can help them not do that.
Yeah, and I think that's the toolbox is very important. And also I think the knowledge, because everybody who leaves the service, I would suggest, if they have mental health or not, they are going through a form of transition.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the military mindset is very well ingrained, and we have podcasts on that talking about that, so we won't get into it on this one. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about the program that you have and how it looks and how it's
so the program that is being designed right now is being designed by Gerard and Shauna. They are deep into it right now. I haven't had a lot of exposure to it yet because I've been busy working in my other life. They do this kind of design work and stuff for a living. What I bring to the table is the military experience side of it, having served. And one of the very important things about having a military veteran involved is we speak the same language, soldiers. We have our own vocabulary. We do, when we sit down with a veteran and do an interview with them, it's a very long process compared to a TV interview where you are given 10 minutes of prep and you go and you sit down and you talk about 5 or 6 things. Our process is very, very different when we speak with veterans. It starts with a coffee and we chat. And then we have a list of topics that we will talk about, or I want to talk about. And I'll send it home with our subject and give them a Sharpie. And anything you do not want to talk about, cross out. We won't do it. Then we'll sit down, we'll have another coffee, we'll discuss. And then we'll finally get to the interview side of it, where it's just me, a camera, and the person that we're going to talk with. And it's not really an interview, it's a conversation that I guide. And it's remarkable how much we can talk about in the space of an hour or an hour and a half. And if you go to the website, you'll see Colonel John Conrad's interview and a young lady by the name of Julie Basque, who was an amazing person to meet. When we first met, she was depressed. She had suicidal ideations. She met with us, and we got to help her tell her story. And we interviewed her, and then a year later we talked to her again, and to see the difference in a year, going from not in a good place to engaged, buying a house, working with people. And the big thing was the communication side of it, telling her parents through her videos what she had experienced, and having her parents now know all of the trauma she went through. That made such a huge difference to her life that if I do nothing else with this nonprofit, that's my win. That's my Academy Award.
Yeah, and that's important because knowing, sure, someone can go through a program, but what happens 3, 4, 6 months down the road?
Yes, exactly.
Right, that's the proof if something's happening,
yeah.
Right? Because, I always say to veterans is, you can't wipe out your identity of who you were.
No.
But we can learn to live with it. We can draw from our strengths and differences,
yes,
and move forward in life. So the program's being developed.
Correct.
going to be launched in Alberta by the sounds of it first?
Yes, I have built-in guinea pigs. Actually, I have the South Alberta Light Horse, which was my last regiment, and the RSM is very much interested in bringing this to his troops. And if we would really like to start small, maybe with just the Edmonton units, see how it goes, see if we can get involvement from the Canadian Forces, from VAC. But this is all self-funded. We do this all ourselves. We're just one of these small groups trying to make a difference.
Well, I thank you for that.
No,
I'm sure
appreciate
that's going to help. And thanks for taking the time out of the games to talk to us today. And
my pleasure.
For feedback about the show or more information on chronic pain, you can visit our website, veteranschronicpain.ca. And if you want more information on Invictus, you can go to their website, invictusgamesfoundation.org. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast. Thanks for listening to this special Invictus Live series as part of the Most Painful Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Hoppy. Stay safe and keep the hope alive.